Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox back for another episode, and I'm absolutely thrilled today to have with me Lorena Guillen. Lorena, first of all, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Lorena, could you tell us what your businesses were on July 3rd of 2025?
We were right on the edge of the water, so it was quite an ordeal.
You had RV Park,
Yes,
and what was the name of that park?
Blue Oak RV Park.
And you also had I would say, pretty good restaurant called Howdy's. Tell us about Howdy's.
Thank you. Howdy's, it's my dream come true because I love to cook. I love to have people over, friends. And so it became a really cool hangout place, a little watering hole for friends and local and customers and tourists. And it's just a lot of fun.
As I recall, at one point it's called Hay Barn.
Yes.
Did you buy it then and change the name, or was it yours all along?
No, we did buy it. We bought it about close to 4 years ago.
Okay.
And at that point, there was another restaurant leasing the property. And after they moved out, my husband and I didn't know what to do. And we figured, well, might as well, let's give it a shot. And we did. And happy to say that we're very happy with the results. And we've been very fortunate because the community really opened their arms to us and welcome us.
And then you had a construction business as well?
Yes, that's my husband, Aggie Construction, and he's been operating in the Hill Country for 40 years.
So how long have you lived in the Hill Country?
Close to 10 years now.
When did you move here?
It was back and forth for a while, and we finally made the final push about 4 years ago. And we had this beautiful home that we were lucky to buy in Tierra Linda, and which we sold to buy the RV park. And we've been permanently here for years now.
I live in Tierra Linda.
Oh, I love that place.
Where did you live?
It was on Spanish Oak.
Okay. So pretty far back into the property.
Yeah, and on a cul-de-sac, so away from the main traffic road, and beautiful place.
It is. It is. That it is. So we live on Indian Creek Loop,
Okay.
and we live right on the creek. So we're surrounded by trees and cannot see a thing.
Yeah.
So that's what my wife wants. Can you talk us through what happened starting on July 3rd?
July 3rd, it was the most amazing day. It was beautiful. Sun was shining. The weather was perfect. The night before had rained a little bit, so the grounds were still wet. All the employees were extremely happy because we were going to be able to go all crazy with fireworks. We were not in a drought that day or anything like that. So it was so wet. Then I said, go crazy. So they all got together. They spent like $1,000 in fireworks, and it was just the perfect time. The grass was green. The river was crystal clear. You could see all the way to the bottom. We had a band playing outside on the outside stage. That's how beautiful it was. Everybody was dancing. We had so many tourists in town, so many customers. I mean, that place was packed. And I was going crazy. My husband was helping too. We were all just enjoying a beautiful day. We were all looking forward the next day and everything that was going to bring for the first time in so many years that we could do fireworks. So
Was the band playing at the pavilion?
no, it was not on the at the pavilion, but it was on the outside stage at Howdy's,
Oh, that's okay.
on the deck, on the patio.
On the deck. The For those who've never been to Howdy, it's got a deck on the outside. It's got great exterior. The interior, my wife and I love because you got so much up on the walls, and it's just every time you go there, you can find something different. And I've been to obviously dinners and lunches there, but I've been to events there.
Mm.
So it's known in the community. When did you guys buy the RV park? Was it when you bought the restaurant?
Yes, it's all one single property.
One drop property.
Yes.
Okay. And when were you first aware something was up with the weather?
It was yes, we've heard that it was going to rain, but like we just did a couple of days ago. We were supposed to get 12 inches, and I think I got like maybe half an inch. It's one of those things that it's going to rain, which it had been. And that night, I closed the door of the restaurant close to about 12:45, And Julian Ryan, my employee, he was the last one to walk out of the restaurant. And it started to rain hard around that time. And I said, let's just close early. Don't worry, we can finish it tomorrow. Go home to your babies. And he left. And it was just raining quite a bit. And so I went home, which is right there on the same property, took a shower. It takes me a little time to unwind after the crazy night. And around 2 o'clock, it was still raining pretty hard. So I called the sheriff's department at 2:08 and I asked, how is the weather upriver? How's the conditions? Do I need to evacuate? Because I have a lot of people close to the river. And the dispatch, she told me she had no information at that point. And I was checking the weather and checking the weather. And I hang up the phone with her and it just I got in my truck and I drove all the way to the edge of the water. Probably at that point it was about 2:30 because I had to get dressed. And so I drove and I circled the whole property. The creek that we had, it was always a great indication on how the water levels were because it's such a man-made creek. And if that's flooded, then you have if that's rising, you have flood coming. And it was fine. Everything was fine. And I said, okay. And there is no information. We did get that one alert of a possible flash flood, which is normal to get because I knew Goat Creek was going to get flooded anyways. That always gets flooded. And then about 3 o'clock, I finally went to sleep. And around 4:15, a little after 4 o'clock, the lights of the rescue team woke me up. The lights, the fire lights, and I got dressed, woke up my husband, dressed in a second, and ran downstairs. And as I was going downstairs, I saw the water rescue team coming, and I just yelled at them. There is 5 people on the island, which is the lowest part, and they took off. And it was pitch black. It was thundering, it was lightning, it was raining extremely hard, very difficult to see or hear anything. And so I started on the upper area right here by next to my warehouse on the upper area. And my husband went down the ramp and started helping the people down below on the lower area. We have a very small RV park. So I knew where everybody was. I knew who was in town, who was out of town. I knew everybody. So that's why I already knew how many people I had on the island and who was there and who wasn't. So I started, some of the people were already outside their RVs packing things up. And I started sending people to the restaurant. That's what we do because it's higher ground. And then from there, we start moving the RVs all the way to the church. But at that point, the water was already about 20 feet high. It was already about waist deep on the lower level, and but it hadn't reached the upper level, which that's normal. I mean, for flooding, it's usually the lower level that gets flooded. Happen that like what happened on July of 2024. We had about same thing, 14, 16 feet last year, and cover the lower level. We were able to evacuate everybody without a problem. So I started moving everybody out, moving the vehicles out, directing everybody. And then I kept walking this way, obviously, all towards the rest of the RV parks, looking at everybody, making sure I have eyes on people. And then when I got to the last one with Michael and Trish, I knocked on their RV because they hadn't come out, so they were still asleep. So I knock on their door like 3 or 4 times really hard and I yell at them. I'm sorry, I yell a lot. They got dressed and they were going to hook up their RV. I said, no, you don't have time. You need to get out now. And then from there, I could see the people from the lower level. At that point, the RVs started to wash away. My husband, again, was here at the ramp. I could see semi see him right here because of all the flashlights. And later on, he told me that he was directing some of the people that were still on the island, that make sure they walk through the bridge and not fall on the creek. And that's where he was, and I was walking towards the restaurant to open the restaurant so people can go underneath, so they can dry up and bring their pets or whatever, and give them towels and whatever they needed. And that's when the second wave came in, and it was just, by the time I looked back, a lot of the parts of the upper area, the RVs were getting washed away. I mean, you're talking about from the time I knocked on Michael's door and he was telling me that he got on his cameras on his RV, the 15 minutes later, his RV started to float away. And at that point, my husband was the second wave took my husband took about 45 feet down the river. But he told me that the line yard of his flashlight got stuck on a rebar because we had retention walls all the way, and got stuck on a rebar or something, and he was able to climb up the retention wall before it collapsed. So he was able to get out. And so I was right around here, and you could it was weird how you can feel tingly in the water because of all the electricity. It was, I mean, I guess I don't know. I mean, it was kind of weird how the water came in so fast. And before I knew it, like I said, all of this started floating away. I had a little container right here with I had macaws and cockatoos with rescue animals, and that started floating away too. I never had chance to go back and try to get them out. And on the second wave, it got to the bottom of the restaurant. And at that point, everybody was already out, and the fire department started to evacuate people from the restaurant. They didn't want us there because the water kept rising, which it was very surreal. My husband, and then from there, after everybody was out, I went to my house. I grabbed my passport, my my dog, threw them in the car, and I drove my car up the road. And my husband, our we had an RV as well, which he was getting ready to sell it, so it was outside and ready to go. So my husband was able to drive it out as well, and as well as his other vehicle. And after he did that, a third wave came, and it took the warehouse with all of the construction equipment. We had about 5 trailers parked outside, our Polaris, everything. I had a lot of all of my overflow from the restaurant, tables, chairs, my buffet tables, ovens. I mean, we had everything there because it was a pretty big warehouse. And then from there I took off. We set up shop at the church. That's where I met with HDR because we wanted to make sure we accounted for everybody and who was missing. And that's where we met with the sheriffs later on to report who do we have. And of course, at that point I had 5 people missing. It was a whole family. Later on, we find out that the one of the family members was not with them that night. It was four, a family of four. That
That was the family on the island?
Yes, yes. There were other people on the island because the island was half full, but it was a big family with dogs and things like that. And when I was doing the rounds at 2:30 in the morning, they were pulling out because one of the RVs was the grandparents. So it was an older couple, and they didn't. And I could see them pulling right here, parking right here, just because the dogs were barking so much and things like that. So they had pulled out. So I knew they were not here anymore. So we only had the family of four.
So you mentioned you went down to the last RV and it was Michael
Trish.
and Trish, and you thought it was about 15 minutes after that, that whole section was underwater? And then how long before that next wave hit that got up to the restaurant?
Another 15 minutes.
So,
It
not much
was
time.
no, not much time at all. I mean, we all thought we had time. I wanted to make sure everybody was safe before I went back to get my animals. And I never thought in a million years it was going to take the whole container up here because it was kind of enclosed in concrete and things like that. So it was very well secured. And I figure, well, might get a little, maybe might get water inside, but big deal. So I never thought it was gonna cover it and then take the whole container.
So the when you got up to can you maybe help people understand, is it still raining really hard? Can you see anything if you don't have a flashlight? Is it lightning? Is it just every form of insanity happening at once? What's it like?
Yes, yes, it was pitch black. The only time you see anything was with the lighting, which was very often. And then, of course, my husband has his flashlight. A lot of the RVers that I have here had flashlights. The fire department was back parked back here when I came down, and they had lights on, I guess, but I know my way around it, so it was easy for me to walk around. But it was raining really hard. We were all soaking wet, and in the thundering, oh my god, it was that kind of thundering that rattles the window kind of thunder. And right here on the river, you could see cars and RVs floating away. And you can see the lights, and you hear people honking right here. And then every so often, with the lighting hit, you could see very well because it was very bright. The lighting was very bright, and you might see hands on the windows and horrible. This part, when the second wave hit, the cabins from next door started floating away and started hitting the trees that we had here and completely being destroyed. And you can hear a lot of screaming, a lot of screaming. And then by the time the third wave hit, it started to light up. You could see it was, I guess, close to 5-ish, and you start to see some light. And that's when my warehouse was completely, I mean, the third wave took my whole warehouse completely and smashed it against the deck of the restaurant and destroyed it. So it was terrible. It was so unreal. It was just like you were watching a movie kind of thing with surround sound type.
So the people you were able to get out from both on the island and in the upper and lower, was it like families just sort of walking, running? Was it a an evacuation like we may have had? Remember we used to have fire drills at school. Was it
Mm,
that sort of thing or was it something different?
it was everybody was rushing, running because the water up here was already to the waist. Several people right here on the lower level just walked out with nothing, just their underwear on, no shoes, no nothing. And John had only his dog with him. Nick couldn't even get his pets out. And we had Esme right here with 4 children, babies, Justin with the 2 little girls. So some of them were able to get their vehicles out, but the majority didn't. So everything went down the river. But it was just trying to get to the upper areas. So the people on the lower part, it was just them and their kids and maybe a pet or two. And a couple of vehicles were able to get out. The upper area, a lot of people were able to take all their vehicles out, well, most of them, and a lot of their belongings. Not everything, but especially the main things.
And how did you get up to is that City West Church on the corner of Junction Highway and Goat Creek?
Yes.
How did you get up there? Did you drive up there?
Yes, I drove as soon as everybody was out of the property, and I went to get my car and my dog and my documents. I drove straight to the church, And then after everything was settled and we reported to the sheriffs everything that happened and the people that we had missing at the time and names, phone numbers. And unfortunately, it was kind of difficult because everything is underwater. So our computers, everything went down. I'm just lucky that I always keep a paper copy of everybody that was at the park, and I was able just to grab that piece of paper and have it with me. But again, we're a very small park, so it was easy for me to do that. And then we park our vehicles up by the church, and then my husband and I walked down, and we just stood there by the arch watching it. And at that point, it was close to 6 o'clock in the morning, and you could see the water. I mean, it was insane how much water there was and how fast it was going.
How long before the water started going down that you could go back down to your house or even down to the RV park to see what was left?
Probably around, I'm gonna say 9 o'clock, the water started receding a little bit, and I was able to get into the restaurant and the house. But that's it. I mean, and then it was pretty much until the afternoon until we can get to the upper part of the RV park. The lower part it took several days that we could not get to the lower part at all. That, yeah, several days, but we were able to get up here.
We started this, or when we started chatting, you talked about seeing the water rescue from the, I guess, the Kerr County Sheriff's Office.
No, I believe they were Mountain Home
Mount-
Water Rescue.
And did you ever see those guys again?
No, I didn't see them again. I When I saw them going this way, I mean, it was kind of in my mind, the only way I can describe it is like ninjas, because those guys, all you could see was the red helmets, and you can see them grabbing their boats and running towards that freezing water, rushing like crazy water, and running with their boats and jumping into the water with the boat too. And then in a split of a second, they were gone, and you can hear so much screaming that you knew they were rescuing so many people. And I never saw them again, but it was just, I mean, I was just praying for them because we were running away from that and they were running into it.
You mentioned the way the water felt almost like electricity was in it,
It felt tingling and it was
freezing cold.
super cold. And yeah, I mean, if y- the RV park had several, well, close to 50 spots, and every single one had electricity, 50 amps, and all of the electrical posts were down, including all of the main electrical lines. And there was a big one right here where I was standing. So at what point it felt like tingly. So I don't know if that was my imagination or it was really electricity, or I mean, I don't know. It was just very bizarre, but the coldness of the water, that's what really shocked me, how cold it was.
But with the exception of the one family, you were able to get everybody out.
Yes.
I want to thank you for coming down and visiting with us today.
No, thank you for having me, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.